What up, y'all? It's the Robot Watcher. Grab your binoculars and I'm back with another video. You know what it is. I took a little 2-week break because I was out for my birthday and stuff out of town. But we here and free agency is next week. So I'm going to go ahead and show y'all my off-season plan, what I would do if I was Dan Morgan, if I was in the GM shoes, which I think is very realistic. I'm going to take in all of the rumors that I've been seeing, all of the reports I've been seeing, kind of what the Panthers said that they were looking for in the draft as far as Dave Canales and Dan Morgan in those interviews, things like that. I'm going to keep it as realistic as possible. And within the confines of those, I'll tell you what I would do to take the Panthers from third in the division to first and maybe even a deep playoff run. And we're going to look at both of our lineups as of now, as they stand. So, for our offense, we are going to have, of course, Bryce Young, and the grades above are PFF grades. This is the overall PFF grades. So, Bryce Young sitting about a 74. Adam Thielen in slot, 76. Our Z/slot. Jalen Coker, 72.8. Chuba, 75.9. Excel, he's going to be a 59.3. 52.5 for Javian Sanders. Icky, the whole offensive line is great, which is great. Icky, Robert Hunt, Austin Corbett coming back. Hopefully you can be healthy for this next year playing center for us. Taylor Moton and Damian Lewis. All around 75. The lowest is going to be Corbett at 62, 67. All of them around 70. Pretty good offensive line. It's a lot of green here. And when you factor in the grade overall, or the average grade for our offense, it's going to be a 69.6. And I think you've seen that in the back half of the year last year. We were like a top 10 to 15 offense in that back half of the year. So I think if that rolls over, if Bryce Young's development in that second half rolls over, this is a good baseline. I think this is a good offense that you can win with, even if you don't add anything. That's not what I'm saying do. But if you don't add anything, you say, hey, we're going to let XL develop. We're going to trust his development. We're going to trust Coker's development, which I do trust. I think he's going to take a big leap. And we're going to trust Javian Sanders' development. And we're going to just go back out there, same game plan, run the ball, let Bryce make plays, and we should have another 69.6 offense. I think that's very realistic. Now, on the opposite side of the ball, the defense. This is what we got. Shy Tuttle's a 42.7 at nose tackle. That's why we cut him. So he's gone. 54.6 for A'Shawn Robinson. Derrick Brown was a 47, but he only played one game. But I went back to last year. He had a 90.1 grade, an elite grade, like the 4th or 5th best defensive tackle grade, period. Best run defender in the league, whatever. Jadavian Clowney, 70.8 at edge. DJ Wonnum, 55, even at edge. J.C. Horn, 65. 56 for Trevor Wallace, 56.5 for Josie Jewell. We're going to have a 60.1 for Damani Richardson and a 56.1 for Caleb Farley at corner because Mike Jackson is a free agent. And if you notice, this is only 10 guys because we only have one safety on the roster. So there is no safety. And with that defensive unit, we average out at a 51.1. Now, if you take in Derrick Brown, 90 from the season before, we average out at a 54.8 or something like that. But still, 50, basically. Bad defense. Let's get into our actual free agency moves now. Now, before we get started, before we get to our moves and anything like that, we got to do a little bit of housekeeping. Panthers have around 28 to 29 million in cap space, according to Over the Cap. So, we got to free up some cap if we want to make some moves. There's been reports that the Panthers are going to be very active in free agency. They're going to look to spend big on big name players. But 29 million ain't enough. I think you need to save around 11 to maybe 12 million for the draft. And then, of course, you want to have a little bit just in case guys get cut, things like that, waivers. So I'm going to try to keep us a little bit over or around the 17 to 20 million mark. So after we're done with all the signings and stuff. But let's get some housekeeping done to create some room. We're going to cut Shy Tuttle. No offense to bro. It just didn't necessarily work out here. So we're going to cut Shy Tuttle. Try to get us a real nose tackle in here. I'm going to cut Josh Nijman. And we're going to cut Amari Barno just because I think we're going to rebuild that edge room. I don't think we'll cut, what's bro name? DJ Johnson to start. But I think after the draft, if we double dip at edge, which is very possible, and which I think we should do, eventually DJ Johnson will also be cut because we'll just rebuild that edge room with depth. Anyways, outside of those three cuts, that's all I'm going to do for right now. I also don't have it on here, but we're going to extend Austin Corbett because Dan Morgan has talked about being in talks with his agent. It looks like he's going to get an extension. So those void years kind of drop a little bit towards the cap. That saves us about $3-4 million. Didn't have it on here, but I'm going to give him a contract extension, and then you're going to restructure Derrick Brown's contract and Damian Lewis' contract. This one is a little bit far-fetched. It seems like this front office doesn't like to kick the can, do a whole bunch of restructures, but I did these two because it only drops the cap. It frees up about $9 to $10 million in cap, but only drops the cap by $3 million for each of these deals in the next 3 years. So $6 million against the cap in the next 3 years. It's not going to kill us. I mean, yeah, in the next 2 years, it's not going to kill us. And both of these guys are 27 to 28 years old. In those next 2 years, they'll be 28, 29, and one of them will be 30. So it's not like there should be a steep decline and drop off to where you're mad that you're overpaying him. So yeah, that's all it is. 6 moves, 5 are listed, but 6 moves just to free up a little bit of cap. It gives us about 57 to 58 million. It's like 57 million to 900K in cap space. I think this is a very realistic. I don't think we're going to go gang ho and just cutting everybody, trading everybody. I don't see that. What you also don't see is Taylor Moton has not been extended, restructured, or anything like that. You'll see why later on. We'll talk about it eventually when we get there. Let's get into the next part of the video. All right, man, this is what y'all came for. Let's go shopping. There's been plenty of reports that the Panthers are going to be very active. They've been connected to some big names of free agents that talk about that they're going to spend big and go get playmakers to compete now, which was my plan regardless. And I'm glad to see that my plan is aligning with what they see. I think we're there. We're very close. Worst to first is realistic. So what we're going to do, I use over the cap and spot track to kind of gauge the value of these players' contract coming up in free agency. Javon Holland is going to be first guy we spend big money on. He is supposed to get around a $60 million contract, $15 million a year. We're the Panthers, just in case we're bidding with a contender and he doesn't know, we're going to overpay. We're going to give him an extra $10 million on top of that $60 million. So 4-year, $70 million deal. Now we have our starting free safety, a chess piece that you can move around because he can also play slot corner, outside corner, free safety, strong safety. He plays everywhere, but he's going to be our starting free safety, and it's going to bring star power to our defense, something we don't have outside of J.C. Horner and Derrick Brown. We need some star power. He's going to bring star power to that secondary. Now, next, some more star power. Worst pass rush in the league last year. So what do? We go overpay a guy again. Milton Williams has been a hot name. I was against Milton Williams at first because I thought it was going to be around $20 million per year. When I looked at all the sites, it was around 11 to 12. I can do that, but we're not going to pay him that because we got to outbid the Eagles, and now the Patriots have been connected to him. So I'm going to go ahead and give him 16 to 17 a year, which is going to average out to a 4-year, $66 million deal. Basically, 4 years, 68 is what's bro for the Bills, the defensive tackle, if y'all know who I'm talking about. Dang, I can't remember his name, but that's what he got. We're going to just go a little bit under that because he was a rotational guy. He's not a proven full-time starter. And for us, I still think he should be somewhat in rotation, but we'll get to that later. So, and he had a 90 pass rush grade. Just like I said, Derrick Brown had a 90.1 PFF grade the year before and was like the 4th best D tackle. He had a 90.7 or something like that pass rush grade at D tackle. So, really, really star pass rusher. Maybe even a DPR candidate. We'll see. But we're going to add to that pass rush on the interior. Him next to Derrick Brown, A'Shawn Robinson in rotation. It's looking good already. And then we're going to go get somebody opposite of J.C. Horn. I think we're going to get either... I kind of considered Asante Samuel Jr., which is a guy that I was pushing a lot on Twitter. But the more I thought about it, Panthers like their 6-foot lanky corners, guys like that. Asante Samuel's in that. So we're going to go get another guy in the same realm. Paulson Adebo, 4 years, $45 million, about 11 to 12 million per year. Pry him away from the Saints. 6-foot corner, really good in coverage, can play man, can play zone. Go get you another guy opposite of J.C. Horn. Now, even after these moves, the Panthers still had about 23 to 24 million in cap. So that gives you room to bring back a Mike Jackson. Gives you room to bring back a Raheem Blackshear if you need to, or bring back David Moore on cheap contracts. Just bring back your depth from last year. Bring back not Brady Christian, the other dude, Kate Mays, as your backup center, of course, if Austin Corbett gets hurt, as he has been recently. So you're going to have enough cap, and then if somebody gets cut, somebody like that, and you're going to have enough cap to roll over some into the next year, into the next season. I like this plan a lot. I know it's only 3 moves, and then you're just going to get your depth or some depth pieces, but I like getting these 3 starters in your defense to boost it. Now let's look at what the defensive lineup looks like with these guys at. As you can see in this lineup, we took Shy Tuttle out, so that's why the nose tackle is missing. But you're going to have a 70.1 grade from Milton Williams. You're going to have a 63.0 grade from Javon Holland, and that was a down season. So you're expecting him to bounce back and have an even higher grade. 63.3 from Paulson Adebo, younger guy. And what you'll notice is all of these guys are young. 25, 24, 26 years old. What I noticed from Dan Morgan is he said he wants to build this team correctly, which is through the draft. What that means to me is we're not going chasing old vets and guys like that just to be band-aids. We're going to get young guys in here that we can have long term. So all of these free agents are same age as some of these rookies. Darius Alexander is older than everybody not named Milton Williams. I think him and Milton Williams are both 25, 26. So you're going to get guys that can be rookies basically for your team, or rookie ages for some of these rookies on your team. Darius Knighton is like 25 as a rookie. Same age as Milton Williams, same older than Javon Holland, older than Paulson Adebo. So still building through the draft, but you're also paying guys that are going to be young and you can build long term, hopefully for like close to a decade. Now let's get into the mock draft portion. All right, now let's get to the draft portion. It might be a little lengthy because y'all know I'm a big draft watching film guy, so all of that stuff. But so for here, I had a nightmare scenario. Basically, Jalen Walker and Mason Graham were both gone. Those being the guys linked to us the most. If that happens, panic in the party. But if anybody calls Dan Morgan and says that we want to trade up and give you picks to move back, he's going to accept it. He's made it very explicitly clear. He wants to pick up draft capital and move back. And that's what happened. So regardless of those guys being gone, Dolphins called up, hey, we'll give you pick 13, 48, and 135 for pick 8. So we'll move back 5 spots, and then you guys can jump us a little bit from that early 5th we have. Go ahead and take a late 4th, basically swap spots, and you'll get an extra 2nd. Perfect. Perfect. Now, with that, we're going to go ahead and take Shamar Stewart. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan, advocate, or anything like that. Y'all, if you haven't seen it, go watch my edge rankings to see what I think about him. He did move up 1 spot after the combine, so he's my edge 5 now. He was edge 6 right under James Pierce before, but I ain't gonna spend too much time on him. Y'all know I got 4 guys in front of him, so that lets you know necessarily how I feel about him. At 13, I'm not, it's not gonna kill us, but I think he'd be a great run defender. Flexing him out at edge could make him much more productive as a pass rusher. And AC Carter, hopefully he can be the guy that unlocks it, just like the Rams have been doing for the past however many years, 3 years. I hope he can do it here. So whatever, Shamar Stewart. That's the pick at 13. Now, 48. You notice we did not sign a nose tackle. We don't have a nose tackle in that, in the free agency period that I had. So let's go ahead and take one. Alfred Collins. He's a big guy. I think almost 35-inch arms. Reminds me a lot of Derek Brown out of Texas. Derek Brown was out of Auburn, but he's out of Texas. Plays all over the front, but he's going to be our nose tackle. He's going to be a straight-up run defender. If you had to rank defensive tackles by run defense, he would be in the top 5, maybe top 4 of that. He does need work as a pass rusher. He does. But we need a day 1 impact starter that can help our run defense, especially after signing Milton Williams, who's up and down as a run defender year by year. Had a 47% or 47 grade on PFF last year in run defense. Go get you a guy, one that can play nose, because we need a nose anyway. But go get you a guy that can play nose and start day 1 and give you great run defense next to Derek Brown. That's Alfred Collins. Now, 57, our second overall pick. The second of our 2 second-round draft picks. Marcus Bowe. We had met with him at the combine. This is a guy that people say he can play center. He can also play tackle. We met with 2 right tackles, him and Josh Connerly at the combine. And you see, we didn't do anything with Taylor Moton's contract in our little offseason cleanup period because Dan Morgan has made it clear, and Dave Canales, they made it clear that they're okay with him playing at the cap number that he has. One thing about this team, they don't like kicking the can into the future. They don't like manipulating the cap too much. They want as much money in the future as they can get. And it seems like they're okay with letting Taylor Moton play on the contract that he has at this $38 million cap hit and letting him walk. We invested a lot into the interior, which is more important because we have a much shorter quarterback. So it seems like we're going to invest deeply into your interior, your guards and your center, and invest just okay, or just, rotate guys out after the rookie contract at tackle. Every 5 years, every 4 years, you're going to have a new tackle, it seems. Which is fine. I think that's a okay strategy. So Marcus Bowe, somebody we have met with, steps in. He's going to take a year off this year, learn to sit behind Taylor Moton, and then step in next year into that starting role, which hopefully he can produce. And most guys taking on that's the same thing happened to Taylor Moton. He's taking on day 2, took a year off, developed, and then stepped in, and he's been one of the best tackles or offensive lineman in Panthers history. Simple as that. Hate to see him go, but that's just a philosophy that we have because of the quarterback we took, which I can respect. Next, 3rd round pick, Xavier Watts. I have a video up on him, so I'm not going to spend too much time. They talk about how we need playmakers on both sides of the ball. This guy is a playmaker, a ball hawk. If you want to see my thoughts on him, or you want to see what type of player he is, I'll have the Xavier Watts breakdown I have up in the video cards. If not, just go to my page and look up Xavier Watts NFL draft eval. You'll see, I think he had like 12 or 13 interceptions in the past 2 years. Playmaker right next to Javon Holland, which gives Javon Holland freedom to move to strong safety, slot corner, things like that. With Xavier Watts being a single high free safety, but also can guard tight ends, man up, things like that. Next, 110, Demetrius Knight. He is 25 years old. I do got to point that out, which I found out today. But he flies around, man. When I was watching South Carolina tape, to watch Nick Imawari and to watch, what's the edge out of South Carolina? I can't think of his name. This guy just kept popping up. He has really good eyes, really good instincts. He's able to shoot and blitz gaps or be that slashing linebacker to make plays in the backfield, a good tackler. We have wanted to invest in a blitzing linebacker. That's why we have so much interest in Jalen Walker. We had interest in the guy that went to the Packers last year. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, out of Texas A&M. But yeah, we want a blitzing linebacker, and I think Demetrius Knight could be that. I think he ran 4.56 at the combine, so he has a lot of speed. Let him learn under Josie for a year, and then him and Trevin Wallace playing together, that's a very, very athletic duo at linebacker. I would love that. So that's going to be our pick at 110. 113, 3 picks later, it's time to get Bryce some weapons. They've said we needed playmakers on both sides of the ball, so we're going to go get one. Kyle Williams, he's not going to be a guy that starts over any of our receivers. I don't think any receiver in this draft is going to immediately start over XL because he's a first-round draft pick. You give him a chance to develop. Jalen Coker because he's just too good. Or Adam Thielen because he's a vet. I don't think you take him. He's our best receiver right now. So why invest early? And I think that's why we've seen a lack of meaning with a lot of the top receivers because of that. So get a guy, Kyle Williams, who is 4.4 speed, 4.4, 4.3 speed, depending. But he had 4.4 flat at the combine. Explosive yak threat. Very great deep downfield. I did a breakdown on him, so I ain't even going to talk too much about it. Just go watch it. That helps Bryce. Simple as that. Now we're going to go to our pick that we got from the Dolphins, that swap. 135. We're going to take Terrence Ferguson. And this is why I did not trade for Michael Mayer. When I originally started this video, I did have a trade for him. But I said, nah, this is going to be a draft night trade. Let's wait and see how the board falls. If we can get a tight end on day 3 like we did last year with Javian Sanders, you take them because it's a pretty deep tight end class. So some of them might fall that you like in the 3rd or 4th round. And you're like, hey, I got to go get that guy. We're going to take Terrence Ferguson here. 4.6 speed, great route runner, really good hands, reliable pair of hands. He was making contested catches at the Senior Bowl, making guys fall at the Senior Bowl with his routes, getting immediate separation. Really, really good player, and I think him and Jatavian Sanders could be our 2 tight ends for the future. But yeah, now this next one, Antoine Powell-Ryland. I really wanted to double dip at edge with Shamar Stewart because he's such a project player, but I just didn't see anybody that was, that showed enough polish where I wanted at any of these other spots, or they weren't necessarily BPA. It's no point in double dipping at edge and taking 2 project guys. If anything, you want to take the 1 project of Shamar Stewart and a much more polished guy who falls because of whatever. And that's Antoine Powell-Ryland. He has 16 sacks last year. Very explosive off the edge. Just very short arms, 31-inch arms. He's 6'2", but very explosive, very productive. I think he had like 9 sacks last year. I mean, not last year, the year before last. So that's 9 and then 16. He's a really, really productive edge out of Virginia Tech, next to Aeneas Peebles and all those guys. So yeah, go get him, make him your DPR, in the defense, and I think you got a pretty decent pass rush coming from being the worst in the league the year before. Last two picks, Brashard Smith out of SMU, much smaller slider back because he was a former receiver, but really explosive 4.3 speed at the combine, very shifty, can just a home run hitter, and that's what we need. Chuba's receiving grade was a 47, just not a good receiving back. So you go get a guy that was a former receiver, can flex him out in the slot or outside and actually have him run a real route tree, kind of how we used to do Christian McCaffrey, and he could just be your home run hitter. Put the ball in his hands in space, let him go make a play. And then last one, I don't see this necessarily falling this way because Cam Jackson has been pretty good from the time I've seen him on the Senior Bowl and on tape. But nose tackle Cam Jackson, he has much higher pass rush upside or polish right now than Alfred Collins, but same deal. He's going to be your nose tackle, your strong run defending nose tackle, or even play him at 3 tech. He can move around a little bit. Just much more juice in the pass rush game than Alfred Collins is. So I think you got a good rotation right there. Adding those two guys, you took 4 guys for the defensive front. I love it. I love this draft. This is not necessarily a perfect draft because I would have loved somebody like Donovan Ezeraku instead of Shamar Stewart, and then I think this draft is perfect. But I love this draft personally. So let's get into the next part of the video, showing the lineups after all of this. Let's go ahead and knock the offense out of the way since it's not necessarily guys that's going to be taking starting positions. So same guys, but you're going to plug in Terrence Ferguson. You're going to have Rashad Smith in there, and then you're going to have Kyle Williams. Of course, he's going to probably slide into that Z role. I don't think he's an X, Z/slot. So you got those 3 guys, him, Thielen, and Coker rotating at that position. So yeah, that's good. Now on defense, man, this is great. Now for my rookie grades, I took the average of all of our rookies that played significant snaps last year and kind of averaged it out. It came out to like 58.7 or 50. No, it was like 58.8. So I just put it up to 59, especially for our earlier picks, which is guys who I think will start. So now you have Javon Holland at 63. JC, you throw in Demetrius Knight as a rotation guy. You throw in Cam Jackson as a rotational guy. APR as a rotational guy. Antoine Powell-Ryland. But your starters, Shamar Stewart, if he can give us a 59, 58, that's good enough. You're going to have Xavier Watts as your starting free safety, 59.0. That'll be pretty good. Damani Richardson had a 60, so it's very realistic. And then you're going to have Alfred Collins. If he can give you a 59 or a 58 versus a 42 versus shy total, that's great. Now you have Ashawn Robinson in rotation, Cam Jackson in rotation, Wanham in rotation, APR in rotation. We could rotate these guys a lot and keep these guys fresh. So that's the best part about it, man. And overall, our average for our new defense going from a 51.1 or a 54.5 or whatever it was with Derrick Brown's 90 up to a 64.6. So now we have a green offense and a green defense. I think at that point, we're division favorites. If Bryce Young can take the next step, he can take a step into the 80s. Coker takes a step into that Thielen range, 76, 78, somewhere like that. Thielen stays the same. You get XL to take a step into the 60s. Take Jatavian Sanders, get him to the high 50s, maybe low 60s. And I think we're in the 70s as an offense, 75 offense, somewhere around there, 76, maybe even higher, depending on how much Bryce Young leaps. In a 64 defense, we're good enough. That's average defense, which maybe could be better. You don't know how these guys will hit. We're good enough. So, yeah, that's all I got for y'all, man. I think with this offseason, we're going to win the division. Probably a 10-win team, 10 to 11-win team if it goes this way. And I would love it. And it still leaves us with, I want to say, like 90 million, 87 million in cap next year before we extend JC. So we could extend JC, that cap drops to what, like 60? Yeah, 60, 70 after we extend JC. And we could, go win 11 games, 12 games, maybe make win a game in the playoffs. And we going into next season with a really, really good young team in 50 to 70 million in cap space. Now we're looking dangerous. So that's all I got for y'all, man. If you like the video, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you think this is realistic enough. Let me know what you would change, what you would do, where you will move some guys around. What do you think your predictions for the offseason is? Who do you think we get? Leave all of that in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe. Turn on the post notifications. I'll see y'all next week.